What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Active Self Protection Extra. I am Christopher Bean with Tactical Advantage, and today we're going to talk about journaling and how that can help your practice.
Today's video is brought to us by Mantis. The Mantis family of products is integral to ASP staff building handgun and carbine skills and are your most economical and fastest path to improvement in your skills too. Whether you choose the X10, the Laser Academy, the Blackbeard, or use them all in concert, they will help your practice be more effective, efficient, and fun. Go check them out, pick up a unit, and thank them for sponsoring today's video.
What's up, everybody? So, as we continue our conversations about making practice more productive, I thought it made sense to kind of talk through a little bit about journaling or performance journaling in general. And what you hear a lot of times, it gets brought up, but people are normally resistant to the idea. So they're like, I don't need to have a diary about how I shoot. That doesn't make any sense at all. But in counterpoint to that, I think what needs to be discussed is journaling in general is an opportunity to reinforce the good, recognize what needs work, as well as kind of draft the history of your performance over time. And that helps you understand where you're headed, what needs to be done to continue progression, and remember wins as they've happened through your journey. I think that's quite important. So, predominantly from a reinforcement standpoint, it helps to kind of remember when you met or achieved certain things, and that helps to solidify that within your self image. So, it gets talked about a lot, journaling, things like that, but no one really talks about what to actually put in your performance journal. So, I figured I'd share a little bit about what I put in mine. So, that's certainly not saying that this is the only way to do it, the most productive way to do it, the right way to do it. It's just what I do. So, with that, I have my journal here and I have a randomized entry that I've actually gone through before on some podcasts and some things like that I figured we'd just talk through. So every entry I make, I have a statement um, that is set up specifically to bolster my self image. Through the work of like Lanny Basham with his book with winning in mind, he talks about imprinting and things you would say about yourself over the course of time that actually helps formulate who you believe yourself to be. I find that to be very, very productive. So I do that every entry I make. And so just to share mine, which I'm feeling a little vulnerable kind of talking through this stuff, but so be it, right? If it helps. So my personal statement I make to myself on my entries is I am an exceptionally skilled shooter, one whom possesses deep technical prowess and the mental control to accomplish any shooting challenge placed before me. Okay, so I say that to myself a lot. That's actually a motivating statement to me, remembering who I believe myself to be, and not something like, "Well, I suck today, so I don't really want to practice hard." When I start by making my entries with that, it sets me up in the proper way to have a productive practice session. So, what else? And just so you guys, I know you can't read the page, but this is a singular day entry. I log the time, how long I've practiced. On this particular day, it was from 7:10 p.m. to 7:31 p.m., 21 minutes. This was a dry fire session. And then I log averages. So anything I'm doing when I'm using a timer, I'm actually putting in the information on an aggregate basis, not a personal best or a least or outlier performance, just the aggregate. So on that day, we have like a draw to first shot, a bill drill average, a failure to stop average, a split bill drill average, and a reload. The times are relatively irrelevant. And then we go on to the next entry. And some other things in this entry are no timer today, just focused on vision. So, what is it that I was trying to achieve, or what is it that I was trying to go after? Then I have the bill drill, 20 repetitions, coming out, support hand a little late. So we have something that's, hey, this is what I need to work on, not self-deprecating, just the true sense of what had happened. Uh, Move to bill on an index card. And so what I did with that is that's to work on the thing that I recognize needed work. So when you move from a larger target to a smaller target, it requires a little bit more care and thought into the overall task. And that's how you start progressing and correcting these things. Let's see. Failure to stop, 20 reps, a little less trigger manipulation eliminates some of the over travel. So that's what I tend to do in dry fire is slap the trigger as hard as I can. What that does is it creates an upset in the red dot, and then it helps me understand how much support hand pressure needs to be put on the gun, how much trigger is enough trigger or too much trigger, and how to kind of work all of those things together. And then I have reloads and transitions. Reload average 90% solid. So when I say that 90% solid, that means there was a 10% of those reloads, however many repetitions, where I had some sort of bobble or something that I needed to correct. So that's a statement going into consistency. What am I trying to achieve? And how do I get the most consistency out of that? So then we have good session. I feel a little tired, but happy with the overall performance. Okay. So then I have need to work on continued tension release. Speed does not come from binding. Uh, Attempted with music during future sessions. That helps me tend to relax mentally. Less equals more. So, really, what we have here is not a definitive log of what times are. It's certain things that struck me or I thought of during a session. So, what that helps me do is start understanding mentally where are my good performances versus my less than favorable performance. What is happening in my mind when those happens? And I have a running dialogue with myself that I can go back and reference and start figuring out what works really well and what doesn't work really well. So we always look at logging as in like, well, I'll put the times down, I'll put how many repetitions down, but that's only a small piece of it. So, what I suggest someone do is really start focusing on the mental aspect of it. What does that really look like? And how can you influence your future performance by understanding past performances? So, I think journaling is like super important and it's quite prevalent when you run into the best practitioners of anything in the world. Um, Having that running record is quite important when you're trying to significantly surpass what you believe yourself to be capable of, and it helps hold one accountable in the journey of progression. So I find journaling super interesting and super helpful. um, I really try and push people to use this, even though a lot of times you get pushback. It's another great way to hold yourself very much accountable to what you're doing if you're trying to create habit. So, with that, I'm not going to beleaguer this to death. That just gives you guys an idea of what I do from a performance journaling perspective. Now, when I'm actually performing a task versus practicing a task, my entries are a little bit different. They're a little bit more meticulous in logging of time. But there's also a quotient on what I experienced, what I felt, what I thought when that performance was taking place. But all of this is subjective. How you would write this and what that means to you, I don't know that anyone can give you the answer to that. But I suggest you try it. Um, What I would like to do is throw a gauntlet down and say, okay, if you have never done this before or you do not feel like it would be productive for you, try it for 30 days. So every day for 30 days, even if it's just in your dry fire sessions, start logging these things, develop your ideas on what it is you would like to remember or imprint about those practice sessions. Do it for 30 days and then come back and tell me if it changed how you thought about shooting or how you performed with shooting. I would love to hear that. So, with that, this is about the end of this short series on the concepts of practice. We're going to jump back into videos demonstrating and actually going through practice. So, I hope this was helpful in some way for some of you. And if not, I certainly understand and we'll keep working on it. So, thanks for the hard work, guys. I will see you soon.